fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, folks, to another Fish Report Live, our last Fish Report Live of the year 2016. I'm Craig Fissinger. That's Ken Francis. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, we have TK and Heavy D. We're going to be joining those two guys here in just a little bit. And Ken, you know, it's the holiday season. Lots of holiday basketball tournaments going on, including a big one at the end of this weekend.
Yes, there is, Craig. Literally a big one. The BIG, the Buckeye Insurance Group, holds a tournament annually over there at Piqua's Garbage Gymnasium at the high school. Tournament Russia has participated in the last several years, Craig, and looking forward to going over there again this year.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to one of the coaches in that tournament as well.
Yes, we will, Craig. Looking forward to talking to the head coach of the Russia Raiders, and that's Spencer Cordonnier. Spencer's got his Raiders playing good basketball again this year, coming off a very successful season last year, which was his initial season. So just in his second year with the Raiders, and Craig, you know, he's finding the kids are always playing hard for him. They're playing great defense. Things are really playing well right now for Spencer and his Raiders.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a little bit, but before we do, we have our weekly poll question, and tonight's poll question has to do with the Piqua Holiday Tournament.
Craig, we've got 4 teams in the Holiday Tournament. The Russia Raiders have won 3 consecutive tournaments, but who is going to win this year's Piqua Holiday Tournament? Is it the Buccaneers from Covington, Lehman Cavaliers, the Russia Raiders, or the Eagles from Troy Christian? Which of those 4 teams will win? Go to the telemetrics, and we'll have our guys in the sound room give us the answer later on.
Yeah, if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page, you can certainly scroll down and help us answer tonight's poll question. If you're watching us on NK Telco, which is now in New Knoxville, New Bremen, Fort Laramie, Minster, Anna Botkins, Sydney, Maria Stein, and Chickasaw.
Wow.
They got us all covered, Ken.
I guess. They probably had to grow because everybody in those other territories wanted to watch our show.
Well, certainly anyone watching us tonight, like Ken said, we'll have those results for you at the end of the show. And let's get things started. Let's bring in the sound room guys. Ken, we've been doing this every week, going with the sound room guys and talking a little SCAL basketball. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about girls basketball, guys. And on a little bit of a holiday break right now, no SCAL matchups until January 5th. But since we're at the holiday break right now, wanted to kind of talk about what's going on in the league. And TK, let's get things started. I know last week you watched the Botkins Trojans come over to Russia here, and Botkins came into that game at 8-0, suffered their first loss of the season. What do these Trojans need to do to bounce back?
Well, I think they will bounce back. They got to work a little bit more on their offense. I think one of the struggles they had was getting Bergman into the game, Sarah. So far this season, I think she's got 4 double-doubles. The Raiders were able to keep her way out when she did get a hold of the ball. They struggled to try and get her in the offense. I think they work on that a little bit. They'll right the ship and they'll be okay. But a problem they didn't expect, I don't think, was a highlight reel called Maria Heron. I think Heavy D's going to talk about her in a little bit here. But she put a show on that was fun to watch no matter who Russia was playing. That was going to be a bad thing for the other team. But I think Botkins will be okay. They've got some good athletes. They'll get over this one. They'll right the ship here in a little bit.
Yeah, they're on kind of a 2-week break, guys. They actually had their last game against Russia. They don't go back into play till January 5th, so a couple weeks off there. But when they come back, they have Anna, New Bremen, and Fairlawn. So I agree. I think the Botkins will get back on track with that.
You know, I watched Botkins play, and I agree they got a nice team over there. But, you know, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, you know, with the schedule they had played early on, they were going to get challenged when they hit that part of the schedule, which included Russia Minster. You know, they got to play Jackson Center twice yet. So, you know, I like the Trojans. I think they got a lot of young talent there, but they're going to have their work cut out for them the rest of the season.
And Heavy D, speaking of those Russia Raiders, I know TK just mentioned them playing very well right now. And some of those names we were familiar with from last year, like Heron and Hatcher, but there's also some names that we're not so familiar with that are doing well this year. In your opinion, what's the reason for the Raiders' success?
Yeah, you're right. Heron and Hatcher, they've been playing at the varsity level now for 4 years. Two of the young ladies I like to see that have really grown this year and physically grown in height and in strength. Number one, Larissa Poling. She's doing an excellent job down on the block. She's positioning herself well. They're getting a lot of baskets into her, and when she gets the ball, she's finishing. Camille Wilson, she's also stepped up her game this year, a little bit rougher underneath, strong physical presence. Whitney Plyman's doing a good job bringing the ball up the court, running the show there. Also coming off the bench, I like Jenna Plyman, or Jenna Cordonnier. She's coming in. She's a sophomore this year, and she's doing a nice job for the Raiders. She's not afraid to get in there and mix it up.
Well, I think Heavy D brought up some good points there, Craig. And, Larissa Poling, she's just been playing fantastic basketball. She's got, great hands, nice soft touch around the hoop, great foul shooter as well. And, I'm just a big fan of her. And like you said, the other girls as well, Camille Wilson and Jenna Cordonnier and the whole crew's there. And, give a little credit to Coach Timmerman. He's got his kids playing great basketball right now. It's his first year at the varsity level, first year in the girls program, and he's made he's responded to the challenge very well, and he's got his Lady Raiders doing well.
Yeah, Poling actually had a big game last night against St. Mary's with 16 points, and we talked a little bit about her last week with our guest host Brandon Coverman. Had a little bit to say about her, and then of course, as Heavy D mentioned, Maria Heron, or TK mentioned, Maria Heron had that big game against Botkins. 8 3-pointers, broke a Russia school record formerly held by Betsy Nichols 14 years ago, and was 1 point away from breaking the single game scoring record of 38 points held by Cassie Francis. So just missed that one.
She did have a phenomenal game. It was interesting because it seemed like whenever they'd come out and guard her, Maria would just step back a couple more feet and just continue to throw bombs in on them. And when the game was totally out of hand, the last minute and a half, when she needed one more point to break the scoring record, that's when Botkins really started to clamp down on her.
Yeah, they must have knew what was up there. But speaking of that, guys, your thoughts on that? I mean, it was a game that kind of got out of hand there in the fourth quarter. Russia won by, 23, 24 points, something like that. But yet you got a girl that's a couple points from breaking the scoring record. I know as an opponent, you probably are like, get her out of there. But as a fan of the girl that's in that situation, you want her to play. So what do you do in that situation?
I'll tell you what, though, Craig. The Raiders are really only go 6 deep on varsity, and then they've got JV playing in there. So you need to have her in the game. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they go 6 and maybe 7 deep off the bench, 2 deep off the bench. She needs to be in the game.
I agree. They don't have big numbers over there at Russia, and she's a point away or a couple points away from it. Let her play. Let her get a chance to break it.
All right. Well, Ken, let's talk about any disappointments that you've seen so far this season, or maybe not disappointments so much, maybe surprise that you've seen in the SCAL so far this season.
Well, as far as a surprise, Craig, I was really surprised to see that Audrey Francis decided not to go out for Fairlawn. That's got the Jets sitting at 0-7 overall, Craig, and she was a great player. She was a 1,000-point scorer in just 3 years, so that was a big surprise. And I know she's focusing on her volleyball career, and I totally understand that. But so that was a surprise. I think the Anna Rockets, Craig, sitting at 0-3 in the league right now, is a big surprise to me. Anna's got this tradition of a very rich tradition of girls basketball over there. They had the transfer come in from Sydney, who I thought would be a big help for him. But I'm not giving up on the Rockets. I think they're still a dangerous team for some of those front runners in the league. But Anna sitting at 0-3 in the league, definitely a disappointment. Fort Lormy, Craig, some people say, they're 5-3. What's up with Carla Siegel's team? Craig, that's not a surprise and not a disappointment. I think Carla Siegel's got the kids playing very well. They play a lot of young players. They've got a couple of them getting hit with the injury bug right now with Abby Holdhouse and Marissa Myring. So, the Rockets are doing, or the Redskins are doing just fine. I think they're a dangerous team. They're sitting at 3-1 in the Shelby County League right now. And, when you look at those league standings, if you're Jackson Center, Botkins, or Russia, also with 1 loss, playing the Redskins is a dangerous game.
Yeah, you look at the Redskins there, and of their 3 losses, you got it right there on the screen. One's against a D2 team in Tippecanoe, one's against a D3 team in West Liberty, and the other one's against a D4 team in Bacchus. And I agree, those injuries are, they're not going to help the Redskins, but Coach Siegel over there knows how to win, and I think she's going to be just fine against Division 4. And you mentioned the Anna Rockets, and speaking of them, if you remember back at the beginning of the season, I think in the preview in the city paper, Coach Martin over there said he only had 2 girls back in Spicer and Huell's camp, and those were, he thought it was going to be a slow start. They had Roland over there. She came over, the 6'2 junior, but that's her first year with the team. He thought it was going to take her a while to get for them to get familiar with her. So not surprised with a slow start there. They're a team that, maybe the second half they'll get it together.
Agree with that, and again, that's a team that if you're a front runner in the league, they'll be a dangerous team as well.
All right, and the top team, we just saw the standings there. The top team, of course, is the Jackson Center Tigers. They're sitting very well right now, undefeated guys. And this is a team that made the state tournament last year. They lost their head coach, Scott Dosek. They lost their leading scorer from last year, Nicole Fote. They got a late start from going to the state volleyball tournament. Are you surprised that they're on top now at 6-0?
No, I'm not, Craig. A lot of good athletes. They got Elkerts, they got Myers, they got Dosex. They got a whole crew over there, and just a lot of talent, and they play very well together. And Coach Reese has got them playing phenomenal defense. Their opponents are only averaging 23.5 points a game, and you're going to win a lot of games, Craig, when you're only giving up that amount.
Yeah, very good defense, and they got a big January coming up. They play Bacchus twice, they play Russia once, they play Fort Laramie once. They got a couple MAC games in New Knoxville and Minster. I don't know if these guys are going to quite go undefeated, but that's probably only going to make them better come tournament time.
Sound room guys, what do you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch the league as we enter into the second half of the season. You got 3 teams there with 0, or you got 4 teams with 1 loss or less. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yes, well, I think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens, Craig, when we look at these standings about 2 to 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's really just getting started there. It's still awfully close. And with that, we're going to take a short break, guys, and we're going to come back and talk a little boys basketball. So stay tuned. We'll come back with that interview with Coach Spencer Cordonnier.
Stage at the leaving van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. Teacher, cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some SCAL girls basketball. Going to talk a little SCAL boys basketball now. And Ken, we were talking about during the commercial there a little bit, but let's go over the standings and see where we're at right now.
Well, Craig, similar to the girls' standings, it's still early. You've got one undefeated team. You got a couple teams sitting there with one loss. But the Fort Loramie Redskins, Craig, playing very good basketball right now. 4-0 in the league, 6-0 overall. Appear to be right now the top team out there that everybody's gunning for, and they're playing very well. But they got some tough games coming up as well. You see Fairlawn at 3-1, Russia at 3-1. Both still very much right there in the league. And Anna Rockets, Craig, at 2-2. They lost tonight to Versailles, I know, but that's a dangerous team as well for any of them. And of course, you got Jackson Center yet, also at 2-2. You know, a very dangerous team as well.
All right, and one of those teams sitting just one game back, of course, is the Russia Raiders. We have their head coach, Spencer Cordonnier, live on the phone right now. Coach Cordonnier, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, listen, we just we're going over the SCAL standings, and it's interesting to note, Coach, that the SCAL right now is 14-5 against non-conference opponents heading into or after tonight, and that includes 6-2 versus the MAC. Even your last place team, Coach Botkins, beat a good Minster team on Tuesday night. Do you ever remember the SCAL being this tough from top to bottom?
You know what? Excuse me. You know, year in and year out, I know all the coaches in the county feel like, you know, we compete very well outside of the league, and you know, a lot of us play MAG schools, CCC schools, and you know, year in and year out, we compete very well with them. I don't know if we've been 6-2 against the MAC in recent years, but because of the caliber of basketball that they have in their league. But you know, the Shelby County League this year, there's a lot of parity. I mean, there was a lot of question marks going in. Obviously, I think everybody knew Fort Loramie was going to be pretty good, and they haven't disappointed anyone so far. You know, nobody really knew what to expect out of Anna, and you know, they've played pretty well, and they got some good talent on their squad. And you know, I was at the Bodkins game last night, and they stuck to their game plan and executed it very well, and beat a pretty talented Minster team. So, you know, I think we all the coaches in the league feel like, you know, any one of us can beat anybody else anytime out, and you know, it's just a matter of you got to come to play every night.
Well, Coach, listen, you have a variety of talent on your team, including some really good seniors. One guy that we've talked about a few times on the show already this season is senior Cole Tebby. I think Heavy D here with our crew called him the hardest working man in Shelby County on one of the shows. But we see how tough he is on the floor, Coach. How is he in practice? Does he give you that same effort in practice?
Yeah. What you see on the floor is what you see pretty much all the time, and that goes for any of our kids. They work extremely hard in practice, and Cole seems to be the leader of that pack. You know, they kind of follow his and Dylan's lead, and those two are our captains, and we expect that out of them, and that's what we get night in and night out. You know, in practice and in the games. You know, if there's a ball on the floor, or, you know, Cole and you know, we expect to have a couple guys on the floor. You know, he got stitches last week after the Anna game, and was back on Monday full go in practice with a bandage over it. And you know, that's just the type of kid that he is. And like I said, he's the leader. I guess he's the grit leader, for lack of a better terminology, for our team. And you know, everybody else kind of follows his lead in that aspect of it.
Coach, hi, this is Ken. You take a break from league play this week, and we're traveling over to the Piqua Holiday Tournament, a tournament that has brought some great memories to Russia fans over the years, including 3 consecutive championships over there. This Thursday, you face Troy Christian. They have a monster inside, a 6'9" James Anderson. I hear he's a pretty talented player. How do you stop somebody that big, and what's going to take for the Raiders to get a win in that first round of that tournament?
Well, you know, first of all, I don't think you can stop him completely. You know, he's probably 5-6 inches taller, and weighs probably, I don't know, if I had to guess, at least 30 to 40 pounds heavier than anybody we got. So for us to stop him, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but, try to keep him in check. We go into every game, thinking, okay, we determine who their best player is or their leading scorer is, and we say, we can't let that kid beat us. We might get beat, but we can't let their best player, their leading scorer, go crazy on us and let that person beat us. We're going to have to, be physical with him as much as we can, and we're going to have help. One guy's not going to be able to do it. So, we're going to have to play probably as good a team defense as we've played this year. But they've got some other kids out on the perimeter that can knock down shots. So, Troy Christian's kind of a dangerous team to go up against too, because of the style of play that they've been playing this year, and they get after you full court the whole night. They'll sub 4 in at a time, and if you sag back on Anderson, they've got kids that can knock it down from the outside. So, it's going to take a good effort to come out with a W tomorrow night. And as far as the whole tournament goes, what I like about it is, there's some good talent there. There's a lot of games. If anybody wants to come check out some good basketball, it's definitely there. Even, the big school division and the small school division, and every team gets at least one player on every team gets a scholarship in their name given back to them. So, that's kind of the highlight of the deal. It's for the kids, it's for the players, and the holiday tournament gives back to them by giving out scholarships. So, that's nice to see.
Coach, you made some good points there about the Piqua Holiday Tournament there, the Buckeye Insurance Group. They do a tremendous job. Like you said, we've been going there for many, many years, and it's always been a fun experience for the kids and the fans and the coaches. Plus, it gives you a nice opportunity to play on the floor where you'll be playing the sectional tournament. How important is that, playing on that floor and preparing for the postseason?
It is. It definitely gives us an advantage come tournament time, because we do get 2 games during the regular season on it, and there's not very many venues around the area. I don't know if there's any that we're going to play in that has that kind of background, that kind of depth to that gymnasium, and it's a place that can get very, very loud. It can be hard to communicate, so you can get a taste of that from time to time in that holiday tournament, depending on how competitive the games are. So it's definitely an advantage for us come tournament time.
Hey, Coach, one more question. After this holiday break, we turn the page over to 2017, and it's shaping up to be a wild one. You got Fairlawn left to play twice, Fort Laramie left to play twice. Both those teams just on top of you in the league standings here right now. And, I know they say Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, but what do you think about the first couple months of 2017? Going to be a pretty fun one, isn't it?
Maybe fun for the fans. It might not be so much fun for the coaches sometimes. No, we do. We got some really, really good teams to play against yet this year. Like you said, Fort Laramie twice, Fairlawn twice. Versailles, which is always a big game between Versailles and Russia. Minster on the schedule yet, Marion Local, and everybody else in the league that we've already played. So, there's going to be a lot of nights that we're going to either have a lot of fun or we're not going to have very much fun. So, you're right. It's going to be a wild 2 months before the sectional tournament begins, we're just gonna try to take it one game at a time and try to fight like crazy to come out with W's.
Well, listen, Coach, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on our show with us tonight. I know it's a busy time of the year with the holidays and with basketball games, and for you to be on our show, we appreciate it. And from here at Fish Report, keep doing a great job. You've been successful here the short time you've been our head coach. Congratulations on that, and good luck the rest of the season.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for all you guys do throughout the high school sports seasons.
All right. Take care, Coach.
All right. See you guys.
Yep.
All right, that was the head coach of the Russia Raiders, Spencer Cordonnier. And Ken, believe it or not, I was actually talking to someone down at UD Arena these last couple of days that is part of the First Four committee with the NCAA that gets things going down there. And they're trying to promote it up in this area. And they said, do you guys have basketball fans up there? And I said, listen, we don't have nothing to do up in this part of Ohio, but go to the high school gyms. I said, we're basketball crazy up here. And no better example of that than what's going on with Russia and the Shelby County League right now.
That's for sure, Craig. You look at it, Russia participated in flying to the hoop a couple years ago, and it was played at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, and just brought a ton of fans over there, and Marion Local and Tri-Village and other schools, Versailles have had a lot of success. They got Sydney going over there this year, and I think that's one reason why they reach out into this northern part of the Miami Valley. We're basketball crazies up here, and absolutely, it's all a lot to do with teams and coaches and athletic directors and the kids and the parents of schools like Russia, Fort Loramie, Versailles, Minster, and so on.
Well, you mentioned Marion Local, Versailles, Tri-Village. Those teams all have holiday tournaments going on right now. And then we have the Piqua Holiday Tournament. Your thoughts on the Piqua Holiday Tournament? Do you like staying in that one, or would you rather go to a different one like a Tri-Village, Versailles, Marion Local?
Well, Craig, like I talked to Coach Cordonnier just a few minutes ago, it's great that it gives the Raiders the opportunity to play at Garber Gymnasium, which really prepares them well for the sectional basketball tournament. On the other hand, I think it would be nice to venture out and play in a different holiday tournament, whether it's at Miami East or Tri-Village or somewhere else. But, it's hard to get in those tournaments, Craig, because a lot of them are full. I mean, teams just continue to go back to the same ones year after year. So it's not always easy to bounce around, but we'll see what happens here with the Russia and the Piqua Holiday Tournament. They've been very successful over there, and the kids have had a lot of fun.
Well, no doubt about it. It does create that tournament atmosphere. It's certainly something you want some experience with before you go into the sectional tournament later in the season.
For sure.
All right, one more thing to get to, and that is tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you read that to the viewers again, and we'll check out the results.
Well, speaking of the Piqua Holiday Tournament, which of these four teams will come out on top this year? Will it be Covington, Lehman, Russia, or Troy Christian? We'll go back to TK and Heavy D in the sound room and see what the voters had to say.
Well, tonight the voters are saying 100% Russia will win their division of the big tournament at Piqua this next 2 days.
Well, I would have to agree with those voters. They've won it 3 years in a row. I don't see why they won't win it 4 years in a row. Previous years, well, last year it was two divisions, I think. But previous to that, Russia played against the big school and beat Piqua both years over there at Garber Gymnasium. So those were ultra fun wins as well. But I don't see why anything will change this year.
All right, great stuff, guys, and thanks for that. And that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Do want to say special thanks to Coach Cordonnier from Russia for joining us on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, everyone, and good night.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at